Okay.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Community Dissection. In this episode, we will be dissecting a community, the Upwork community. So if you haven't heard of Upwork, you must not work with freelancers very often. Upwork is a huge company. They were formerly known as Elance Odesk, and they were founded in 2014 as an online platform that connects businesses with freelance talent from all around the world. The platform offers a range of services from web development to content writing, graphic design, and more. Upwork was created by a merger of Elance and Odesk, two freelance marketplaces that were already established and then merged together. And the company quickly grew to become the largest freelance marketplace with over 12 million registered freelancers and 5 million registered clients. So Upwork went public in 2018, and today it continues to be a popular platform for freelancers and businesses, offering that flexible and accessible gig economy work that I myself personally love. I'm actually not listed on Upwork, but I have in the past definitely looked to Upwork to find people to work with. So when I saw that they had a community, I was really excited to see what exactly was going on in there. So I'm joined today by Lila Faria. Lila, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Awesome. And Lila, remind us your role and who you're with.
Absolutely. So hi, everyone. My name's Lila. I sort of am the founder of two companies at this point, if you call a consultancy a company. One of them is Lila Faria Consulting, where I work with people who want to create communities that bring people together over creating positive change over a common purpose. And then I also run Lila Faria Dance, which is an in-person community that specifically focuses on the Seattle blues dance scene.
Awesome. I love community. People always have their heart community. It's like the thing that they're involved with and the people that they meet up with who for their passion.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah,
Lila, we're so
yeah.
Go ahead.
Something else I love about this particular community that we're looking at right now is the fact that we're both people who are coming at it from we have been freelancers and we have been consulting type of place. But what were you going to say?
Yeah. Oh no, that's perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself. So yeah, thank you, Lila. Excited to have you on this episode. And let's dive in. So I want to show you what the Upwork community looks like, and then I'll ask Lila for insights on what she loves, what she would change. So just to give a really brief overview and to show you what this looks like, when you come to the community, this is what you see. They have some featured content and trending content here. As I clicked around in this community, it became really clear to me that this community is for supporting their freelancers. So this is a freelance community, and what I was amazed by was just how cross-departmental this community really appears. So there's everything, without diving into this first landing page, this header actually explains a lot of the navigation and offerings in the community. So you all know, if you've seen Community Dissection before, I love I consider the three pillars of community programming to be events, conversation, and content. And really quickly and really easily here, I can see events, which we'll dive into in a bit, academy and support, both being, I would say, academy being in the content category, and then forums and support both being in conversation. But they also clearly under platform have the product team is really involved with this community. So it's clearly there's some customer success happening, customer support, product, and then just general community building. So I'm really, really impressed. I would imagine that for the Upwork team, they either have a pretty robust community team that is, touching all the different departments, or maybe they have a smaller community team, but they're really heavily relying on the different departments to be heavily involved with community. But that would be kind of my prediction without being able to peel those layers back. And one other note, they do host their community on Khoros, which is a common enterprise level community that is built in and that we dissect. And finding the community was pretty easy on the Upwork homepage here. Oh, I'm like logged in. Okay, here we go. So when I go to just upwork.com and I scroll down to the footer, they had community as one of they had community academy. Okay, it's not taking me to the right place right now, but I promise they had it listed in the footer. And I would honestly, because this is such a robust community, my one take on finding the community as someone who has posted as a freelancer on Upwork, I wasn't aware in that process that Upwork had a community. It was only like later on I saw it like kind of randomly. So if the Upwork team is watching this, I think that what you all are doing in this space is so robust and incredible and helpful that I think it should be touted in the onboarding experience for freelancers. Maybe it is, and I just missed it years ago when I was doing that. But I think it's definitely something that needs to be touted even more, because if people knew they had these resources, I think even more people would feel confident getting started as a freelancer. So Lila, tell us, what would you change, or sorry, what do you love about the community? And then give us one thing that you would change.
Absolutely. Yes. So I loved what you were saying about how robust it is, because that was one of the first things that I noticed as well, where it's just they touch upon so many different elements of what can make a community a community. And I also really appreciated just how clear they were about what this community's goal is. Right off the bat, I felt very aware that they were creating content, like you were saying, but also specifically focused on supporting their customers, and their customers being the freelancers, which as a consultant, to me, is very refreshing from the other side of it, of seeing your members as mostly being those paying the freelancers, or those who are the bosses. I really appreciate the fact that this is specifically geared towards the people who would be doing the work, and who are looking to be freelancers and get into that world. Like you also, I love the fact that they have an events section. That is actually, when I first was looking, I was mostly looking on the first page, and I didn't notice the event section until later. But something that's one of my almost pet peeves in the community space is when there's a belief that the only way for us to do community is by having one form of engagement, such as through a forum or through like an email, something where they're talking at the people. And these events and spaces like this really encourage the members to be able to engage back with them and to engage with each other. And that to me really transforms it from being an audience-based like announcement platform to being really an online community. Some other things that stick out to me, I really appreciate also their academy and the focus on not only supporting their users through any issues they're having, but trying to get ahead of the game and supporting their users in their overall path of being consultant. Learning opportunities, and even the certifications that they have are wonderful, because they promote the people, they help the freelancers, but they also, by contrast, if someone completes the certification, it's a great marketing strategy for them, where they can be known even more so as leaders for other freelancers, for people in this world. So I think it was just, again, like if they are listening, if the community team is listening, I think that was a beautiful strategy, not only for your community efforts and the goal of having people engage with each other and with you, but also for your marketing strategy. That's really beautiful.
Awesome. I love it. I couldn't agree more. Events are I think a lot of communities don't do them because if your events suck, you will know. And it's so easy for us to hide behind like content. It's really hard. You don't get that immediate feedback. Like you can't see people reading your content. You don't know if they're like you have some data around like how quickly they're Xing out of your page, but content can make us feel a lot better about our community, but events are like pretty, like you'll know immediately if it's not working, which is one of the reasons I love them so much, because I'm like, we don't need to pat our egos. We need to know if this is working. And that's not to hate on content. I think content plays a role, absolutely, but events are a fabulous marker of whether your community is hitting the mark and providing value or not. Because if people aren't attending, you have to figure out how to provide value or how to market your event. Like you're just forced to iterate, otherwise it won't work. So I always love, anytime I see events in a community, I know like right off the bat, like there's good stuff happening here. You can kind of hide behind conversation and content. A bad community can hide behind conversation and content for a really long time, but you can't with events. I love to, what you said about, I'll go a little deeper into learning paths here in a bit, but well, actually, let's just do that now. So the other thing about under Academy learning paths, what gets tricky about content and how to organize it is how to help people find what they are looking for. And a search bar only goes so far. So I love that they created, like, the first drop down here is helping them select, like, where am I in the flow and where am I in the journey and what exactly is it that I'm looking to learn. And I love how I have truly, honestly, we've dissected dozens of communities, and onboarding is always something that like just gets lost in the shuffle. And so to see onboarding integrated into so many of these different programs, you know, here if I'm a new member, I can really quickly say like, oh, new to Upwork, that's me. New to Upwork, that's me. Like, it really facilitates the experience for a new member in a way that doesn't get lost in the shuffle. And they've done that. They've woven the onboarding experience through each of these. So we'll come back to that. But I wanted to just call that out about learning paths. I think this is a phenomenal way of helping users identify where they're at and how to get what they need on the content side of the community programming. Anything you would change? Is there anything you saw in here that you're excited to adjust?
Dive into? Yeah, so it's funny. If we're talking about learning paths in particular, my background before I became a community leader was actually in how to create alternative environments that promoted intrinsically motivated learning. So I could deep dive into the learning path for sure. But when I was first approaching this whole community, I was actually approaching it, as I mentioned, from the first page. And there were a couple of things that I felt like were missing from this first page that I felt like would be helpful. One of them was, even though I felt like I saw that the goal was support and I saw content immediately there and I saw support being given, I didn't see that engagement between people as easily right away, which made me feel initially like the community was going to be more of an announcement-based community, something that was aiming towards an audience. And I felt like some easy ways that they could solve that or work on that could be even in the forum activity. Most of those to me look like a support forum where the people who would be responding, because these questions are so specifically, they would probably be members of the Upwork team. But when I delved into forums and groups, there are clearly plenty of forums that are specifically geared towards local communities or different groups like women in this space and things like that. And I could see that being higher, like much clearer from the get-go, so that there was a clear way for people to start to get involved right away. And in a similar note, I was surprised not to find clear community guidelines on the first page. That's just like something that I noticed.
Oh, I think they're down here. You just had to scroll a little bit farther.
Great. Okay, perfect. That was something that I was looking for, but if it's already here, then awesome, they've got it. Because that was something that I'm always looking for, is how am I supposed to get involved? Like, what does a successful community member look like? But if they're answering that in the community guidelines, then that definitely covers that.
Let's click into these and just see. Yeah, you know, it's so funny. As I did a deep dive into this community, I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is truly like the communities we've dissected. Like, this is one of the best, frankly. But the part that I didn't like the most was this landing page. I was like when I first came to it, I was like, oh, great. Okay, here we go. We've got like a forum with like a bunch of useless information. Well, first, truly, I was like, okay, we've got like another blog style community that thinks that they're a community, but they're just pushing out content and they're calling their blog a community, yada, yada, yada. Which is not the case. There's actually like such good stuff happening here, but I'm like, why did you make it look like a blog? I'm like, I would love, and I know I've seen this in other Khoros communities. So I'm like, I know you could have like 3 buttons here with like the 3 main reasons, and it's up here, you have all the information. Up here is this, like this whole navigation is incredible, and it's by far better, like it's light years ahead of the vast majority of communities. But I'm like, man, why does this landing page suck so much? Like, can we just get 3 buttons like telling me like what I'm gonna do here? Because to me, this and featuring this article specifically is kind of weird to me. This makes it look like you're trying to like convince people to freelance, or like it doesn't. This article to me is targeting people who are not freelancers. So if you're a freelancer, you're like, well, I'm coming to the community for freelancers. I would see this and be like, so is this not the community for freelancers? Am I like in the wrong place? Are they trying to like convince us to become freelancers? What's going on here? So I don't like that. I would definitely adjust it. And I loved your feedback on just catering this like forum activity, like just curating it a little bit more to what a beginner experience might be, because this landing page is what people are coming to for the first time. So it really does need to be oriented for the dummies who have no idea what's going on here, myself included. Like, you need to treat us like absolute dimwits, because otherwise we're not going to be able to figure it out. So I think making the forum a little bit more curated. I like having the upcoming events here and then the blog, but I would change this immediately as my first thing. And I love the search bar, but it takes up like so much space. Like, does it need to take up like a half of the real estate on the first page? Like, it just seems kind of unnecessary to me.
Plus, by the time you get to the search bar, like to me, the search bar was a little bit putting the cart before the horse. It was like, I don't know what to search yet. I don't know what's available here. I could even imagine the search bar still existing, but being towards the bottom of the page after they explain everything else. They say, here are a million things that you can do here. Here are the upcoming events. Here is the way that you can engage. Here are the groups that are specifically, if they can use data even to say, hey, here's, for me, it would be the Seattle group. Like, here is the Seattle group that you can join right now so that you can meet other people in your neighborhood, and you can even probably go to something in person or whatever it is. Like, it felt like I would totally love the search bar. I feel like that's going to be useful, but we're not there yet.
Yes. Yeah. The first thing someone is asking when they come to your landing page is like, am I in the right place? So you need to say, this is exactly who this is for, and this is exactly what you were going to do. And it cannot take up many words, and it can't take up much space. And which is hard to do. I'm being like very like aggressive with the Upwork team right now, but I'm just because I think it's important. And I think you have Upwork team, if you're listening, you have so much good stuff happening in this community, and that landing page is not serving new members to help them discover that. But if they push through and persevere on and they click through the rest of this, a couple other things I wanted to highlight. So I mentioned how like the onboarding experience is woven into each of these different elements. And I wanted to show where it is here in forums as well. I love this. I love new to Upwork and forums, because especially like forums can just be, frankly, they're like, to me, one of the most overwhelming forms of conversation. So I'm not like, I think they can be done really well, but it takes thoughtful design. And I think that they did nail that here. So I love having these 3 buttons at the top. And actually, okay, this is the one I was looking for. So new here, please introduce yourself, I'm assuming they say. So just really clear, really warm, tons of comments, tons of upvotes. And like, as I was scrolling through, there were people jumping in on each person's introductions, and like a lot of new people saying like, where do I start? And like, a lot of the same response saying like, start with Academy, and like, here's what I recommend. So I thought this was a really phenomenal onboarding experience, and so many forums miss this, and they just throw their members in the deep end. Like, literally, it's like throwing them out into the open ocean and being like, good luck getting back to shore. You're like, okay, let's have like a nice beach entry into the water, get you like accustomed to how things work. And then we can dive into like any questions that you have, or there's so much here that people can, tips for finding that first job, profile feedback from experienced freelancers. Like, there's so much good stuff here. So that was one thing I wanted to highlight. And then find an event. Oh, this was something I loved in events that like, it's so simple, but like so many people miss it. Join an event, host an event. Like mind blowing. It shouldn't be, but I will tell you, of all the communities we've dissected, I have not seen this. I have not seen this button. And this just immediately tells me that they're interested not only in providing great content, but in empowering their members to create their own communities and run their own events themselves, which is like the community-led strategy. That's why we're all here. That's the secret sauce of this whole operation. So I love that right off the bat, being able to see that. Let's click into it just to make sure it's like not fake. Awesome. Facilitated mastermind, become a talent huddle host. Like, this is awesome. This is incredible. Okay. So one other thing, okay, I have to call out this. I saw this post in the forum and I loved it because of what it communicates to me about the community. So this person is saying, look at this profile. She has not done any job yet, and yet she's got a rising talent badge. I have already read all the criteria of the rising talent badge, and I'm so basically I've fulfilled all the requirements of the rising talent badge, but I still haven't received it. I love this post. I love when your community members are like tracking and like care so much about like their badges and their certifications that they're like they are like really invested, and if something is not fair, they're going to point it out and they're going to make you fix it. I love that. I'm just like, this guy is into it. He is like here for the badges. He's here to like level up in the Upwork community, and gosh be darned, he is going to be recognized for it. So Kartik, I love you already. I love this like user behavior happening in the community. Okay, and then let's see, a couple other things to point out. Oh, we talked about the learning paths. Love those. Groups. Let's talk about groups, because this is something that, oh my gosh, I'm thinking back to like the atrocity of the Sephora community. Not to throw shade, but like their groups were like, it was just so confusing and like hard to find, hard to figure out like which group you like identified with, like even to understand like what the group was. It was just like, I think they were also hosted in Khoros, but it was just like so poorly organized. So go check out the Sephora one if you want to see what not to do. But I love this filter at the top where you allow me to filter based on industry, identity, location, interest, and impact. Oh, like, oh my God, this just like makes my little community heart flutter. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to like identify and like I can just so quickly find women, veterans and families, moms, global Hispanic and Latinx community, Black future. Like, that's amazing that I can just like so quickly find that information and not have to spend, like, I've just been to pages that use groups in Khoros, and they just have like pages and pages and pages of options with like kind of the most popular ones at the top. And I just think that's completely defeating the purpose of like segmenting your community into these smaller communities. But clearly, like, they're helping people just right off the bat be like, oh, I know, like, obviously I would look for like the Hawaii Upwork, which I doubt is here because there's just not very many of us. But okay, so I'm in LA, Los Angeles, you're Seattle. Upwork Seattle. Request to join, right?
Yeah.
It's actually, I'm just like curious what this does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Actually,
it has to be approved.
wow.
Interesting. Okay, interest, community contributors, AI, crypto. So like just so well done and so thoughtful. And I'm curious within each of these groups if there's like any structure for leadership or, if there's people who are like facilitating the space. I would imagine that there is, but I love that, one of the things that can happen so quickly in a community this large and this global and this, it can get pretty complex pretty quickly. And it's hard to find your like little corner that caters to what you need. And I think they just so thoughtfully help their members do that. both through the way that they've organized the community, but also groups helps maintain that sense of belonging and connection, even in such a huge community of freelancers that they are clearly supporting. So that was so long-winded, but do you have anything to add to that, Lila?
Absolutely. I mean, some of the things that stick out to me include the things that you've pointed out. I love the fact that this is where the search bar is, like coming back to the search bar. I'm like, this one makes sense to me. Of course,
Yes.
This is where I feel like I know where I want to go, and I can be empowered to go and do that.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't have Hawaii at the moment, like at least we're able to find that out very quickly. And I love, in some ways, it's interesting to see that you apply and then you potentially get in, but in some ways I'm curious about how that shifts folks' engagement in it right away, because there has to be an acknowledgement at the beginning that there's actually a human behind there, that there are actually people here. And I'm also curious, like you were saying about whether, like, who it is who moderates these communities. I want to know if that's the Upwork team or if that's members, because I feel like there could be advantages of either one. And I would be really interested in seeing if this is closer to a chapter program, say for the location-based ones, where they're able to have some more ownership over what those events, sort of like what we were saying with events and hosting an event. I could see that being a really interesting transition and connecting point between these two places where the community is happening, or if it's something where this is where Upwork is really, really spearheading it and you get to become closer to the Upwork team, which could also be really wonderful. Maybe you're getting that connection to the actual what's the word, company. Maybe you're by attending an Upwork event, you get more insight, more connection, more like your feedback will actually be heard. Both of those I could see as having advantages in different ways, but either way, I feel like this is a great way to humanize the community and remind us that the community has people behind it, that this is actually bringing people together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a really, really strategic segmentation to help facilitate that connection between humans. And I think they did a really great job of it. So there's more that we could dive into here. I'm curious of the badges set up, but we've kind of in previous dissections gone through the Khoros setup of badges. So we won't spend too much time on that, but overall, I think I'll kind of wrap us up here. So Lila, would love to know your kind of like concluding thought. Mine, I think, is I think this is frankly one of the best communities that I have dissected, like from their programming to their navigation to fostering the journey of their freelancers in the community. There's definitely this is one thing I wanted to mention, like, so forums here seems to me like a little bit more customer success-y, and then support is like actual problems and bugs. And you'll see this in any community. When you click into the more like customer success forum, people are always popping in with like, this thing broke and how do I get it fixed? And you're like, can you just put that in support? So I did see that in here, but just the level of activity and response rates and replies happening, even in the forums, was pretty incredible. I've been seeing a lot of forums that are just absolute crickets, and like clearly the team is not concerned about helping in that format. So kudos to the Upwork team. If I can just say again, like, I think you have such an incredible design here, and you're clearly helping freelancers all around the world and bringing them together. And I think your community strategy is on point. Change up the landing page, make it easier. That's like my biggest thing that I would change. But overall, I think there's so much good happening here, and I just hope to see it continue to grow and thrive. So Lila, how about you?
That pretty much wraps it up for me too. I've covered way fewer dissections I know than you have. You've really been spearheading the dissection landscape, which I think is really wonderful. But still, I have seen some communities where it's more audience-based than community-based, and I just love how human-centered this is, and I just love how focused on connecting people together it is to help them solve their own issues, as well as help Upwork's team solve the issues for them. It really feels like a place where we're able to, what's the word, like teach people how to fish as well as giving them a fish, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Okay, well, Lila, thank you for joining us on this episode. If you're watching this, drop in the comments if you have a community that you want us to dissect. If you're a community professional and you would like to join for a dissection, feel free to reach out. And we look forward to more episodes with you. Thanks. Oh, and hit the subscribe button. I'm supposed to say that. Watch more videos. Yay. All right. Bye, everyone.